Okay, this video is going to be adding something new to the discussion that was brought up during the Far Harbor DLC of Fallout 4, where Dima states that you, the player, could be a synth. And I found something that leads me to believe that the Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, those characters that you play as are also synths, which is very interesting. It's a very bold claim, just to come out and say you're never a full human, you're always a synth. It's a very bold claim indeed. But before I delve into explaining this bold claim I have just made, I would like to apologize to Vinylic Puma of Vinylic Puma Gaming. I advertised this video on two of his videos. The links will be in the description of those videos. They're his top 5 reasons why your Fallout 4 character could be a synth, or why they're definitely not a synth. But what I have found is canon lore saying that we could be, which is very interesting. But, let's get straight into it with number 1. Alright, so with number 1, let's get straight into it. VATS. How many of you know what VATS stands for? Veteran players, I'm sure all of you do. But new players that may be watching this, do you know what VATS stands for? Actually, I don't even recall VATS being said in Fallout 4. It's just there. I believe there was a tutorial for it actually in the very beginning of the game, but I ignore all tutorials in every game I play at this point just because I get the basic game mechanics. I don't need the tutorials anymore. So it actually may have been said. But VATS is the Vault-Tec assisted targeting system, which is very interesting because Vault-Tec has done nothing to do this. This is a plot hole that has been in the series since Fallout 3. I mean, Vault-Tec has done nothing. You used to be able to make the argument that there was the targeting system in the Pip-Boy, or there's a camera in the Pip-Boy, and it would, whatever you're pointing towards, it would calculate, do all the math to calculate what the percentage chance you had of hitting certain parts of that body. And it's very interesting. It used to be a thing that you could say was done by the Pip-Boy, but Pip-Boys are made by Robco, not Vault-Tec, but they're in the vaults made by Vault-Tec, so they could have special Vault-Tec software on them, which is a plausible thing. You could very easily make that argument. But there's a terminal in the robotics section of the Institute that it opens up a whole new can of worms. Now give me just a second. I'm gonna cut and get that photo, and then I'm gonna read it out loud to you. Okay, so the terminal reads, and I quote, direct reading, overriding directive to not alter our synth's basic functioning notwithstanding. Father has granted clearance for a rather unique project. In select Gen 3 units, the synthetic brain is indeed capable of accepting specific enhancements to the visual cortex, basal ganglia, and the right parental cortex. The result is substantially improved combat effectiveness due to 2 factors. Number 1, an increased understanding of weapon accuracy to the extent that the combatant can actually visualize the percentage of effectiveness, or the percentage of effectively hitting the targets, and in brackets, or the smaller areas on those targets. Number 2, an altered sense of perception that mimics the effect of slowing or even stopping time. Okay, so you heard it. I literally just read what VATS does. It gives you a percentage of a chance of hitting a target, or the smaller parts on that target, their limbs, and it slows or stops time, which is very interesting. in Fallout 3 and New Vegas, it completely stopped time, which I would say is a more advanced system there. That sounds like, I don't know if it was installed better, or if it's just more advanced upgrade there, where it processes so quickly that it stopped time. They perceived time as not passing anymore, which is very, very impressive. Very impressive. Here in Fallout 4, though, it is only slowed down. You're still processing incoming information about twice as fast, maybe 3 times as fast as a normal person, though. It's very interesting. I would compare it to what happens. Some of you may have experienced this. I have personally experienced this while horseback riding. I screwed up and told the horse to gallop very, very quickly when I was actually trying to get it to slow down. This was when I was about 12, I believe. And I leaned off the side because, you know, it was very, very bumpy ground, and the second I leaned over, like 15, 20 feet in front of me, there was a tree. A big oak tree just staring me down. I thought I was about to get my face and torso smashed into this tree, and it just happened in slow motion to me. The next thing I knew happened, I had thrown myself over the other side of the saddle and was rolling on the ground. It was very interesting. I believe that is an effect of adrenaline, the sudden burst of adrenaline, and something else. I'm not a doctor, I don't know how this works. It just allows your brain to, in moments of fight or flight, process incoming data much more quickly, which can save your life. Which is basically what VATS is. Essentially, if any of you have experienced that, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's very interesting, but these are upgrades done to the synths that let them do this, which is very, very interesting. And that is my first point of why I believe all of us are synths in Fallout 3 up to Fallout 4, because every game we have this ability. And it's, you could say it's the fight or flight, but it's given a name. It's given Vault-Tec Assisted Targeting System as its name. Very, very interesting. Also, action points can be changed to 2 adrenaline points if you wanted to. It's very interesting. On to point number 2. Okay, so I rambled on for almost 30 minutes. That's right, I recorded this a couple times and I rambled on for 30 minutes. But I'm not going to do that. I was going to just repeat everything said in Vinylic Puma's videos about how you could be a synth, and then make some arguments about how you could be a synth even though he has theories on why you're not a synth. So yeah, there's that. There is only a couple things I want to say real quick, and I'm going to try not to ramble on for 30 minutes again, like I did in my previous attempt at recording this. Real quick, you don't age and you don't gain weight when you eat too much. That's reasons why you could be a synth, as said by Vinylic Puma, and there are things that happen here in Fallout. They also happen in Skyrim, though, which is interesting. But, something that is more impressive, getting the Courser chip. That quest now has deeper meaning to me, getting that Courser chip. Because if we are advanced synths, or upgraded synths, that have the, I'm going to call it the VATS upgrade, because it doesn't have a name given to it in the terminal that I read earlier. It doesn't have a name, it's just a software upgrade that can be done to them that'll give them that special ability. So, a synth that has the VATS upgrade is like a Courser. It's, you know, just a very, very intelligent, or a very, very specialized combatant. It's made to kill things. It's like a courser. It can target things with knowledge of weapon accuracy, with just such precision it can calculate if it can hit you. And that sounds like a courser to me. Because coursers are, they're killing machines. I mean, as said by the leader of the SRB, he asks you, once you get into the Institute, whenever you're visiting him, during the quest, whenever you first get into the Institute, you get to walk around the place and get to know it. He asks you, how did you kill the courser? And I always say that I'm not new to combat. That's what I usually say to him. And he says something along the lines of, new to combat or not, no human should be able to kill a courser. And that he's going to have to run diagnostics on all coursers to make sure that there's nothing wrong with them. Which is interesting. But if we ourselves are a courser, it explains a couple things. It explains us being able to kill another courser, and it explains being a bullet sponge. Because the courser you go and find during the Fallout 4 quest, when you're getting that courser chip, they're in a building running through gunners. I mean, that courser has stealth boys on him, so you can make the claim he just snuck past a bunch of them, which he did, because you still have to fight a good bit of gunners on your way up. But there's also a bunch of dead ones laying around as well. The courser, they're bullet sponges. They're meant to be killing machines. They're combat specialists. They're the most advanced things the Institute has as far as synths go, which is very, very interesting, because everybody complains about your character, unless you play survival mode, that is. They complain that it's too bullet spongy, and that you put it on very hard, then it just turns the enemies into bullet sponges instead of you being a bullet sponge, and so and so. But yeah, it makes sense if you're one of these special coursers for you to be a bullet sponge, because you're built to take damage. Also, adamantium skeleton, it describes, as it says, your bones are infused with special metal, making it to where you can't be crippled. Which sounds like something a synth would be. Their bones infused with metal. A alloy, if you will. A synthetic material. So that's another little thing there, and it's very, very interesting. There's a lot to be said about this. I could ramble on more, but needless to say, I think that you could be a synth. Now, Vinylic Puma also says that the Institute would not allow one of their own creations to rule them or destroy them, which I do agree with, but I'm gonna have to say that the Institute doesn't know. Except for Father. Father has to know, of course. First of all, I'm just gonna go ahead and get this out of the way. I'm gonna talk about Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas first, because it's easy. You could very easily be a synth because your origin is lesser known. You're just some random courier. And there's also the problem that your brain is in a jar somewhere out in a desert. The game is based in the Mojave Desert. But your brain is not in your body, apparently, based on what the DLC says, if you take that as canon. I never played the DLC. I don't have all the backstory or lore to that. But, yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting indeed. That your character doesn't have a brain. You can chalk that up to being a synth, I guess. But there's that. That also helps you survive gunshot wounds, I guess. I mean, not having a brain helps, but there's that. And then there is, in Fallout 3, we have your character there, the Lone Wanderer. Why would he or she be a synth? I don't know. I honestly do not have an answer, because you would have to be replaced while you're in the vault based on my theories. Because you can use VATS while you're fighting Butch. When he's picking on Amanda, I believe is her name. Was it Amanda? Or was it Amata? It might have been Amata. Okay, whenever Butch is picking on your friend in Fallout 3, when you're in the vault still, you can beat him up using VATS. So that means you're a synth then. And you took on 3 people. It was a 1v3. A normal person, I mean, let's take me for example. I don't work out, and my character in Fallout 3, I don't think they worked out either, to be completely honest. But they can easily take down those 3 people. You can just beat the crap out of them. That sounds like a courser, doesn't it? Being able to easily take on multiple targets. And being able to use VATS, by my theory. So it's very, very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Fallout 4, this is a very, very complicated one. It's a very conspiracy theory Black Ops, even farther than it would be for Fallout 3. It's basically my quick summary of my theory, because I rambled for 30 minutes, and I'm halfway there about this one theory. I think that Father wanted to do a test to see what one of his special synths could do, or one of his specially upgraded ones at least, could do. So let's assume, for my sake of my argument, that you are his mother, but then he replaces his mother with a synth, and he gives her as many memories as he can, her running into the vault, and what is it, and you know, the bombs dropping and such. But that's kinda hard to do. I mean, the memory den. If you say the Institute has that kind of technology, he could have read your memories and given you those memories. He could have transferred them, which is an easy thing to say you can do, I guess. So let's say that he did that, he gave you a couple memories, but he didn't take the time to write you a childhood. Because he's doing this in secret. He needs to spend as little time as possible. He's got to do this quick. And he can't deliver this synth on his own, because if he leaves, everybody would know he left the Institute. He would have gone outside. Everyone would know he did. Because, of course, he's the head dude. There's his doctor that checks on him. I don't know if it's daily, but, checks on him every once in a while to, make sure he's been taking his medicine, and to just see how his health is doing, because Father is dying in Fallout 4, of course. So there's that. But I don't know how long Father's been dying for. I mean, technically you can say he's been dying since he was born, because that's just kind of how it is. But, yeah, I mean, you can make the argument he's dying since he's born, but I don't know how long his doctor's been treating him. I don't know if it's been years. I don't know if you've been in that cryostasis thing for years, or just a couple days. When, it's hard to say. But let's say, for sake of my argument, that everything that happened to you actually happened to the real mother of Sean when you first start the game. That is all memories from the real mother of Sean. And the Institute has technology like that found in the memory den, and they can transfer those memories to you. But for the sake of saving time, Father does not give you a childhood. He didn't transfer those memories for whatever reason. And then he made sure to keep in the memory of him being kidnapped and Kellogg killing your spouse. He made sure to keep that in. It was his way of getting rid of Kellogg. And you're a special courser. By my theory here, you'll have no problem taking down Kellogg. Kellogg is a cyborg, but you'll still have no problem taking him down. You're a full-fledged courser. You can deal with him, no problem. You can deal with Kellogg the same way Kellogg dealt with the were they Gen 2s? They might have been Gen 1s, actually. But the way Kellogg dealt with the synths that were surrounding him in his interview with an Institute scientist that was talking about how he was interfering with their operations, and he suggests the only way for them to fix that is if they're paying him. And then the scientist tells the synths to attack Kellogg, and Kellogg absolutely destroyed them. He acted like a courser without being a courser. He didn't even have cybernetic upgrades then. So, Kellogg is the basis of what coursers need to be, basically. They actually may have based their coursers off Kellogg. I think they started making coursers after they hired Kellogg. I think Kellogg may have helped train the first coursers, if I'm being honest. It's a possibility. So, let's say now that coursers are trained by Kellogg, Kellogg is no longer needed. They have their program for training coursers. They made you a courser, or an advanced courser, to go take down Kellogg. But going back to how you were installed, to replace Father's mother, or Sean's mother, to go and then decide to kill Kellogg. Let's say Father confided in, or trusted, because I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that word right, he trusted a single courser to this task. Because as you know, coursers can freely teleport in and out of the Institute. They're the only ones that can, other than maybe Father. And you, once you get the courser chip, of course. So he confided in a single courser to do this task of replacing his mother with pretty much a courser as well. And then he wiped that courser's mind so that no one would know other than Father. And I got cut off by my recording system there. Yay. Okay. But what was I saying? Yes. Father wipes the mind of the courser so that only he knows. But then Father lets you destroy the Institute. Yeah, he will let you destroy the Institute. There's a couple reasons for this. He can, I guess, keep the lie going if you decide to destroy if you decide to lead the Institute, he has made it to where the Institute has a very capable leader. But if you decide to destroy it, then the only thing I can say is that he kept the lie going just to keep one of his projects alive, even if the rest of the Institute is destroyed. And the only thing I can really think of the reason why he wouldn't tell you when you're about to destroy the Institute, if you go visit him, I can only say he doesn't tell you because he doesn't want you to know. And he doesn't use a recall code on you either because one wasn't made, he doesn't remember it, or it doesn't matter if he uses it or not. He doesn't use it at that point because even if he did, whoever you helped get into the Institute would now be able to clear it on their own, whether it be the Minutemen, the Railroad, or the Brotherhood of Steel. They could be able to clear it on their own at that point. But that's also kind of a problem, because, Courser. Well, actually, I don't know. The Slocum Joe that was taken down by the Institute. It was one of the railroad bases, an older one, that we didn't really get to see except for in the Tradecraft quest. I don't know if it was one or more coursers that took that place down, but let's assume it was one courser and a bunch of other Gen 2 synths and Gen 1s. If we say that, then that means that coursers can take on multiple targets, heavily armed targets, multiple heavily armed targets with no problem, which is what our character can do. But that means that they shouldn't be able to take down anyone other than... Oh, they shouldn't be able to be killed by anyone other than maybe the Brotherhood of Steel, because the Brotherhood has Liberty Prime, and they have power armor knights, and they have tons of laser and plasma weapons. But, you know, everyone else shouldn't be able to really do anything. They should just be able to damage synths, but the coursers would take them down no problem. Well, this is an interesting problem. But, let's say that, for sake of argument, that, the big group of people that you bring in, whether it be the Minutemen, or the Railroad, or the Brotherhood, they can easily take down all the coursers and everything, eventually. Or they can hold them off just long enough to sabotage the reactor. Let's say that they can manage to do that before the coursers will take out everyone. Let's say they don't actually kill the coursers, they just hold them at bay. Then you have that solution. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm not 100% on this. It's very, very tricky. But it's such an interesting argument to be made. Yeah. I think that's all I have to say. I think I've covered all my thoughts. Yeah. Go check out Vinylic Puma Gaming's videos in the description. And, just keep theorizing on this, and let me know what you think in the comments. If you actually watched 27 minutes of me rambling about this, thank you. But, otherwise, just keep theorizing. Keep theorizing. Let me know. Link me to videos that discuss this further. Link me to a video response of your thoughts. Just do whatever. But I want to see this theory evolve. So yeah, see you next time.